guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and today on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, we're going to be making some sun-dried tomato pesto and prosciutto palmiers. They're a very delicious appetizer, and I'm really excited to share this recipe with you. So let's go over the ingredients so we can get started. You'll need some thinly sliced prosciutto, some sun-dried tomatoes that were in oil that I've chopped finely, some frozen defrosted spinach, pesto, some Parmigiano Reggiano, and some puff pastry. Now the pesto can be store-bought or homemade, whichever you prefer. The spinach is just, the box of frozen spinach. I thawed that out and I squeezed out all the liquid, and I'm using about half of the box right now. And the sun-dried tomatoes were in like a marinade, and I just took them out of the marinade and finally chopped them. That's it. Now the first thing you want to do is get your oven preheated to 400, and now you're pretty much ready to get going on the puff pastry. Now for the puff pastry, take it out as last minute as you can, just because, as we all know, puff pastry is a very finicky thing to work with, and if it's not really cold, it'll start to fall apart. So I'm just going to roll this out a little bit bigger than what it is now, and just constantly moving it so that it doesn't have a chance to stick to my counter. That looks good. I'm going to take my pesto. You don't want a whole lot of pesto because pesto does have a lot of oil in it, and when it heats up, you don't want that oil to overpower everything else. So I'm just going to leave a little border around the edges and just spread this as even and as thin as I can manage. Now I'm just going to layer my prosciutto right on top. You don't have to cover the entire surface, but just do your best. And you want to make sure that it's thinly sliced as well, because you don't want anything too thick, because otherwise, obviously it can overpower, especially since prosciutto is quite salty, which is why I'm not adding any additional salt. And you don't want to be too big of a pieces, because you'll have a hard time kind of rolling these up. And just scatter the spinach all over the top. Again, don't overfill this, because otherwise it's gonna fall apart when you try to roll them, and then that'll defeat the purpose of the shape that they're going to be, and we don't want to do that. So that looks about right for the spinach, and I'm going to do the same thing with my chopped sun-dried tomatoes. Just scatter them evenly over the top. And then I'm just going to grate some Parmigiano all over the top. And that's kind of, you get that saltiness as well. That's why, again, I'm not seasoning anything with salt and pepper, because, it'll be so overwhelming with the salt. I don't really think you need any black pepper in this recipe, so I leave it out, but you can certainly add some in. And then I'm just going to take my egg wash, which is just one egg beaten with a little bit of water, and I'm going to brush all around the edges with that. And now, starting on one edge, one side, you're going to roll this up as tight as you can manage, trying to brush off the flour as you go along. And once you roll one side, you stop right in the center and you start rolling the other side. And I'm just taking a little brush here. This is, I think this came with like a garlic something. I'm not even sure, but I just keep it around because it's cute. And then just roll the other side until they both meet, which I'll show you what that looks like once it's there. Trying to brush off all the excess flour. And then just take your egg wash and you're going to brush right in the center so that it acts like the glue for both ends to meet up with. Just pinch each one like that. Now I find it easier to just take the seam side and put that upside down, so when I cut them, they're much easier to hold their shape. And I cut them in about half-inch pieces or so, and put them on my baking sheet that's been lined with parchment paper. Now, obviously, I'm sure you guys have had like sweet palmier cookies, which are so easy to make and so delicious, but these are the savory version, which are just as delicious and I think just as easy. And you can make these ahead of time, pop them in the freezer, defrost them in your fridge, and then you can bake them off before your friends arrive. That'll probably be a much easier way to do it, but we're just gonna bake these off today. Last one. Now I'm just going to brush the tops with a little bit more egg wash, just so that they bake and they're nice and golden brown. They look good. Now these are going to go into the oven. It's been preheating to 400 for about 20 minutes or so, or do until they're golden brown, and I'll show you what they look like once they're done. Just going to make sure I spread them out a little bit. Yeah, they look good because they will puff up as they cook. So in they go. My palmiers baked for about 15 minutes, and I've let them cool for a few minutes so that they're nice, they're cool enough to handle. I'm just trying to plate them on a cute little plate here. That'll do for now. I'm gonna have to give these a try. I'm gonna have to try this one. Oh yeah. Perfect. It's flavorful. They're easy to make. They look adorable. You can make them ahead of time. It's like the best of all worlds in one little teeny tiny little appetizer. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get this recipe. Make them for whatever holiday party you've got coming up or whatever get together you have coming up. Hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.